This is the 2026 GMC Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate. And in today's Vehicle Visionary video, I'm going to give you the ultimate tour of this truck. Hey everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. I hope you're having a great day. Borrowed this truck from my friends at Mike Morgan Buick GMC in Shreveport, Louisiana. If you want to know more about it, check out the link down in the description of the video. The exterior color is onyx black and it has an alpine umber interior. On the front end, being that this is the Denali Ultimate trim level, for those of you that want something a little bit different, you're going to have a different design here with the grille as far as your colors go and with the GMC logo. So some may say, you know what, I'd love to buy a GMC, but I don't want the red lettering with the logo. Well, this is the truck to consider. Now you will find full LED lighting here with this truck. LED headlights, LED daytime running lights, and LED fog lights. You will also find the locator lighting. That's what just came on. You'll see all the lights come on right there, including the fog lights. We'll give you a little bit better view on the darker side of the truck here with the sun shining a little bit more over there on the right hand side. And here on the lower portion of the front end, you will see the sensors. That means you're going to have a lot of great safety features. I'll tell you exactly what those are when we get into the interior of the truck. You're going to have your recovery hooks here on the front end. Personally, I think that you should have maybe a different finish. I'm not sure how well that chrome is going to hold up if you have to actually use those. If you do, well, make sure you put some kind of a rag or something in there to maybe keep from damaging that. But you will find the chrome surround on the lower grille. But for those who are not crazy about chrome, well, there's not a ridiculous amount here on the front end. That's a good thing. And you will notice this area right here. Obviously, it is not functional. That is purely cosmetic. In case you are curious to know about that, this truck is four-wheel drive. You will find the 22-inch wheels. You will find a 17-inch spare located underneath the bed of the truck. Here is your Duramax logo that tells you what's under the hood, the 3-liter Duramax Diesel and the Ultimate logo. The mirror caps will be in chrome. You will find the LED lighting not only here on the side view mirrors, but quite a few different places on the truck. I'll show you where it is as we get to those points. Blind spot monitoring built in right there into your side view mirrors. They're heated, power folding, and power adjustable. Here is your remote lock, unlock, remote start. You can open your power tailgate, and there's the panic button if you need it. There is a key located inside of this remote, or key fob as some people like to call it. And there is the lock right there if you need to use that key. Now, one thing I do wish was different here with our chrome door handles. You see the button right here, that's passive entry. You can lock and unlock all four doors with that button. If you're going to have it on the front, you might as well have it on the rear, but that is not the case here. We will find the power assist steps. When you wash the truck, you can set those to stay deployed, but when you go into drive to take off down the road, they're going to go back under the truck. And there is one other little trick here. There's a button on the rear of the steps there, and so you can kick that with your foot and bring that back here. That makes it easier to gain access to the front area of the bed if you need to do that, and then you just kick that to go back under. You can see the button right there. And extra lighting, we'll find the cab light, nothing unusual there. Now, one thing I'm curious about, I don't have a truck that has this configuration for the in-bed LED lighting. Mine is in the corner back in this area. I have a 2500 Sierra. But there's your in-bed LED lighting. I'm curious to know, for those of you who own a truck like this one with the lights in that location, how nice of a job does that do of lighting the interior of the bed after dark? We're gonna finish things off here with the LED tail lights, and we will also have our light right here. I told you there's quite a few of those lights on and around the exterior of the truck. You will also find your corner steps to make it easier to get in and out of the bed if you want to use that, although you do have your multi-pro tailgate right here. So that's going to have a lot of different features and functionality depending on what you need to do. Several different things here. We'll go through that real fast just to show you what's here. One of the things I've really come to like about having this tailgate on my own truck, as I mentioned to you earlier that I own in the video, is when I drop that area, when the tailgate is down in the conventional position, I can reach into the rear of the bed much easier because I can get closer to it. That's very nice. Now, this is also going to function as a step, and that reveals the kicker audio system that you have here, so you can listen to music back here. It's really kind of the ultimate tailgating truck in a lot of different ways. And if you're wondering how I turned the lights on that I just showed you as far as those LED lights on the outside of the truck. There's the cab light, and there's the button for the other lights that I showed you on the mirrors and the tailgate. Under the hood of this truck is the 3-liter Duramax Diesel. It is a turbocharged motor that puts out 305 horsepower and 495 pounds-feet of torque. Mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. Now, unlike the HD trucks, this one will give you some MPG details. I don't know how well you can see that, so I'll tell you what it says. 22 city, 26 highway, 24 combined, and 4.2 gallons of gas per every 100 miles driven. This truck will feature a 24-gallon fuel tank. And while these numbers are not guaranteed, these are the potential numbers as far as how far you can drive on a single tank of fuel in the city and on the highway. In the city, we're looking at 528 miles. Out on the highway, that number goes to 624. Some of you might be above that, some of you might be below that. Feel free to share your real-world experience down in the comments section. With this particular truck, you're looking at 9,429 as far as your max towing capacity. Your max payload comes in at 1,429 pounds. You will see that you have the bed liner in this truck. That's going to be very helpful. And we'll have a total of 12 different tie-down points here. 3 in the front, 3 in the rear on both sides. And you will find that you have your 120-volt power outlet right here. This is one of 2. One in the bed of the truck. There's also one in the interior of the truck. And you can also see that you have your power sliding rear window. And we'll take our first look into the Alpine Umber interior, a very large interior, not only with the front seat, but the back seat as well. Plenty of room with the armrest. You're going to have the baseball style stitching right here, the contrast stitching and the piping all in white, very large door bins. And not only is there space for storage underneath the seats right here, you will also find over there on the passenger side, the jack. Here is all the tools you'll need as far as your tire iron goes to put on the spare tire if you ever need to. And if you're wondering what this cable is, that is actually for your engine block heater. I'll show you where that is located, and it's going to be right here on the front end, so you can plug into that. And a little tip for those of you that may have not used something like that before, depending on how long it's going to be before you leave, I wouldn't necessarily leave it plugged in overnight. You can save some electricity by plugging that up to a timer and then maybe letting it run for 2 or 3 hours before the truck starts. And that should be more than enough to get the truck nice and warm, get your oil warm, everything nice and warmed up for your engine. Now, one of my favorite features here with these trucks is the in-seat storage on the seat backs. It's going to be on the passenger side and the driver's side over here. That is very nice. The floor is pretty much flat. There's a very minimal transmission tunnel right there, so whoever the middle seat passenger may be, they'll be a little more comfortable. Rear seat pockets on the back of each seat. You're going to have the cup holders, and we also have heated seats, our USB connectivity, and a couple of air conditioning vents. I hope in the future that maybe GMC will make those air conditioning vents a little bit bigger when these trucks are redesigned. And the fold-down armrest with more, you guessed it, cup holders. And here's a look from the inside at that power sliding window. It's just this area right here that slides back and forth, and you have your rear window defogger. You will also find that this model comes with a sunroof, but it is a conventional size as opposed to panoramic. And we'll find plenty of space again with the armrest and door bins. Here is our Ultimate logo on the door panel. And you will find with the seats a little bit of everything. They are fully adjustable with the controls right here, power adjustable. And you also have this control that turns on the massage function. Very nice. Another Ultimate logo, not only there with the door sill, but here with the seat backs. And you'll find a little bit of storage space on each side of the center console right there. And we'll obviously find that the driver and passenger seats have all of the same functionality. There is the upper glove box and the lower glove box for storage. And when you hop into the truck and close the door, you're going to see the animated graphics that come up on the screens. Tell me what you think about that. I think it looks very nice. It's something that's here, so I might as well show those who may not know what you have as far as that goes. And here is our button to start the engine. Now you'll notice, depending on what you've looked at, depending on what trim level you go with, if you go with SLT, for example, this is going to look a little bit different. We'll turn that fan speed down right there. So this area will be more at a 90-degree angle. The same basic functionality. You'll have a different button for starting and stopping the engine, and you will have a few little differences in the way things look. The sticker price on this truck is $85,905, and one reason for that price being what it is what you see right here on the steering wheel. See those colors, the indicator coming on right there? That means that you have Super Cruise. If you're not familiar with what that is, that's semi-autonomous driving. The truck will drive itself. Basically, on interstate highways, it has to be in certain areas, but it'll tell you if it's going to work or not. In fact, I can push the button. This is the button you use to turn it on, and it will give you a message on whether or not it's available, as you can see right there. Now, one thing that's interesting, in the last couple of years, this has changed, but it used to be that if you had Super Cruise, you lost the heated steering wheel. No more. As of a couple of years ago, here is the button for the heated steering wheel if you want to turn that on or turn that off. And we'll take a look over here at the driver's side door panel. Quite a bit going on here. We're going to have our seat memory, lock and unlock, and everything for folding your mirrors. The button right there that you need as far as that goes. Now, there's a couple of different things you can do here. You can actually go into the screen, and there's a setting if you want those to automatically fold when you lock the truck and unfold when you unlock the truck. You can do that. And you'll have your windows right here. You can control rolling the windows down. Now, the front windows are going to be one touch, so you touch it to lower and raise them. One touch down for the rear windows, but you will have to hold that button up like that to raise the windows back up. Power parking brake. Here's your drive mode selector. Let's take a look at what we have as far as that goes. And you see the exhaust brake is on. That's right down here, right under mode. That's the exhaust brake if you want to turn that on. How about those driving modes? Well, we're going to have sport. That's not the mode that it starts in, off-road. And then you have normal. One thing I do wish was a little different here as far as that goes. When you turn the ignition off, the truck goes back to normal. If you were in sport or off-road, it's not going to stay there when you turn the ignition back on. I wish it would. It just makes sense. And the driver's display right here, you can go in and actually make quite a few changes. You can see your display layout. You can go in and change the way it looks depending on what you like. I'm not going to go through every single one here, but just to show you a few of the options as far as that goes. Now, those are the presets. You can also come and go back to this screen right here. All I'm doing is using the arrow right there and then the scroll wheel to go back and forth to make the changes, and then I'll push on that scroll wheel to select whatever I need to. But we can change the left side, the right side, the lower gauges. You can also change your info page options, units, speed warning. You can see what all is here. Some people have asked me if they can get rid of that image of the truck right there. Yes, you actually can do that. So if you want to, no problem. This truck also has a head-up display, and all of that is controlled right here as far as your controls go. You can adjust the height, info, and the brightness right there. I like that. The one thing that I'm concerned about in the future with these trucks when they're fully redesigned is it's likely that a lot of the controls, such as everything for your driving modes and your lights, and adjusting the head-up display will all be in the center screen. That's the way the 25 and 26 Yukons are with the 16.8-inch screen. Some people might like that. I prefer a lot of physical controls. It just makes things easier. Shifter paddles on the back of the steering wheel, and you will have the controls right here. That's for your volume. Over on the left-hand side, you can adjust what you're listening to. And everything right here for your adaptive cruise control. Voice commands. I think you know what all is here as far as that goes. Comfortable steering wheel. And with our upper console, something else that I wish would stay the way it is. Physical controls. While there's only 3 right here, you have 3 buttons for your home link. That's for your garage doors. On the Yukons as a 25, you actually can set 8 different garage door openers. Program that to your vehicle. I'm not sure who has that many, but I don't, but maybe some of you do. Curious to know if you do. And we'll find our different screens right here just to show you what's here as far as that goes. I don't know if everything is going to come up for me. There we go, trailering. And then the clock, if you want that, can be there too. Unfortunately, you can't get rid of that area and have this part take up the entirety of the screen. I've had people ask about that, but that's the situation. And we also have our digital rear view mirror. If you want to use that, you can. You can use it as a conventional rear view mirror too. You've got your controls for the power sliding rear window and your sunroof that will tilt and slide open. quite a few different views with our cameras. I showed you, I think I did, maybe not earlier. There is a front view camera. Now you see it. I didn't actually show it to you earlier. And here's something that is nice about that. When you run the windshield washer fluid, which is done via this button, it also cleans off your front view camera. So if you ever get a message on the driver's display that says the front view camera is blocked, you can just run the windshield washer fluid and that will unblock the camera. We also have our rear view camera. Quite a few cameras here. Overhead views, as far as that goes. We also have our side view mirror cameras. Just to show you real fast what all we have. A very convenient thing. And there's our overhead view. Yes, it is still here. Some of you might wondered about that, but if you want this view to take up the entire screen, you can take up the entire screen in that respect. So that's very nice to have as far as that goes. And we have a bed camera. If you need to zoom in, you can do that depending on what you need to do. Quite a bit of convenience here. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as you can see right here. You can wirelessly pair your smartphone. You've got Google Assistant, and you can ask all sorts of questions with that. I did not mean to actually touch that, so we're going to turn that off. The Play Store, depending on what apps you might want to add. Everything for trailering is going to be right here. We're not going to go through all that. I'm just going to show you what's here real fast so you will know. But one thing I do want to spend a little bit of time on, I mentioned this earlier in the video, we're going to go in here into settings and then vehicle. And we will go to our safety features, collision detection systems. Let me go back here and make sure I get to the right thing. There we go, right there. So here's what we have. There's your alert type up there. Automatic emergency braking, front pedestrian braking, adaptive cruise go notifier, lane change alert, park assist tow bar, rear cross traffic braking, and rear pedestrian alert. So quite a bit here, depending on what it is you need to go in. You can make adjustments, you can do a lot of different things. It's not complicated, that's what I like about it. There's a lot of menus to go through, but once you start learning it, it's really not complicated for those who this may be new to. Dual zone climate control, you have heated and ventilated seats. That's nice. I'm still waiting to see a manufacturer come up with a ventilated steering wheel. That would be so helpful during the summer, especially where I live in Northwest Louisiana. And you can see some of your other buttons right here. Now, the one thing that I love about my GMC 2500 with the 6.6 Duramax Diesel is that it doesn't have this. And I know a lot of people would like to be without the auto stop start. So you can turn that off here, but it's nice to just not have it on my 2500 on those HD trucks. And you can open your tailgate here. You've got the button for your hazard lights. I think all of you know what else is here as far as that goes. Space in front of the center console area, in front of the shifter. Here is your shifter. Some people like that, some people don't. Some people say they'd rather have a column shifter. Some people tell me that it blocks the screen. I know in my personal truck, it's not a problem, but depends on where your seat is set. Everything here for your trailer brakes. You can adjust all of that, your cup holders, and the nice large lid for the center console. Plenty of room there to use that as an armrest and plenty of room within this area. I'm going to go ahead and pull that tray out. And you can see that you have quite a bit of space within the center console once you take that tray out of there. Now, there is one thing I'm curious to know if anybody has noticed so far, and that is what you don't see in the interior of this truck, and that is a 12-volt power outlet. Only USBs. There is your wireless charging pad. That is a 120-volt power outlet, but you will see there is no 12-volt. GMC feeling that it's just more modern to only have USB. We have a couple more right there. I don't think it's time for that yet. Personally, I know in my truck that I've told you about earlier in the video, I had to buy a USB to 12-volt adapter so I could use my dash cam. I don't think it's time to do away with the 12-volt power outlet just yet. And one more thing I wanted to show you just so you can see what happens on the screen when you select the massage seats is you have all of your different options here. There's a few different things you can change. You can go in and adjust a lot of different things. So it's really pretty convenient, I'd say. Again, easy to deal with. We can go with roll or need or whatever it is you want. But I tell you what, you do know you're getting a massage when these seats are activated. All right, here we go on the test drive, and I'll let you listen for a few seconds here as we cruise on down the road. Just to give you a little bit of an exhaust clip from that 3-liter Duramax diesel. Now the truck is going to have a pretty good ride quality. It's a truck. These trucks are somewhat light compared to what they were with the previous generation, so the ride quality is going to be a little bit different than it would have. I wouldn't say it's bad. You do notice some bumps driving down the road, but the seats themselves being as comfortable as they are more than make up for it. But if you get on a really bad road and your back is sore, guess what? You have the massage seats. You can make up for that. Well, maybe not really, but it's funny to think about that. Now, you might notice something that is here that I know a lot of you have asked about in the past, and that is how to make the cameras stay on while you're driving. Up until a few years ago, probably 3 years ago, 4 years ago maybe, you couldn't actually do that. But now you can. I don't know why people would want to do that, but I left that on the screen just so you could see it. You can do that with every single camera angle or view that is available on these trucks. Now we're going to make a quick turn right here. And guess what? That was just enough turning radius to avoid bumping the curb. So now this truck will get up and run when you need it to get up and run. It's not slow. It may not be making the exact horsepower numbers as some of the other engines that are out there, but it gets the job done. And I'm going to go over into sport mode. We'll see if it makes a difference. I can tell a minor difference, nothing major. It's not as if it's just going to plant you back in the seat all of a sudden or anything like that. But overall, it is a really good truck. It's very capable. It does have a lot of what I would call luxury features. Some people might call it a luxury truck. Some people get offended if I use that terminology. It's so funny to see how people act and react on the internet, but that's just the way it is. But a lot of great technology here that is not difficult to learn. Everything is easy to get to. I like that. And with all of the adjustability built into the driver's seat, I did not mention this earlier in the video. You also have the tilt and telescopically adjustable steering wheel. It's power adjustable. There is a button on the left-hand side of the steering column that allows you to make changes where that is concerned. Overall, a really good truck. It gets the job done. And you don't have to go Denali Ultimate. Yes, this is a very expensive truck, especially with Super Cruise, but you can go for a lesser trim level, say SLT, and you'll drop the price by, around $20,000 or so, maybe a little bit less. But it just depends on what you want. There's quite a few options available depending on what your budget is, what your taste is, what your situation is. But overall, I'd say if you're looking for a full-size pickup, this is definitely something you should consider. And there it is, the 2026 GMC Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate, the Ultimate Tour. If there was something I missed here that you wanted to see, tell me about it down in the comment section, and I'll try and do a follow-up video to answer whatever question you may have or show you whatever feature it is you wanted to see that maybe I didn't show. I'd like to say a special thanks to my friends at Morgan Buick GMC in Shreveport, Louisiana for loaning me this truck for the day so I could tell you all about it. And a special thanks to all of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the like button. That's very helpful to me. Please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. And if you would, share this video on your timelines on social media so other people can see it. If you would like to learn about additional vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.